Hi YouTube, this is Mark from Abilities, and today we're going to be unboxing my new cushion for my wheelchair. It happens to be a ROHO Hybrid Select cushion. I'm excited to show you all the features it has, so stay tuned. Alright, so having been a wheelchair user for over 30 years, I can tell you one of the most important parts of my manual wheelchair is the cushion. And that's because I'm sitting in this all day. I'm putting a lot of pressure down on the bottom of my butt, those bones. You know, I've atrophied, so I don't have as much muscle or fat down there. So there's a lot of pressure, and you want to make sure that you have a really good cushion. I have had a pressure sore before. They're not fun. They take weeks, sometimes months to heal. You're laying in bed, you know, on your stomach. You might have to have surgery. You could get an infection. It's no good. It's a waste of time, a waste of money. You know, I would say invest in a good cushion. They're not cheap. You know, the most range between $350 to $500 if you buy them out of pocket on a retail store, but it's worth it. Please invest in a good cushion. Okay, so in talking about cushions, you know, being that I've been in a wheelchair for so long, I've tried a bunch of different brands of cushions, namely the ones that are like gel packed cushions, where it's got the two gel pads right underneath the, I guess the ischium, those either side of your hips. Of your pelvis rather. That would be like J. Those just never really worked for me, and that's because those gel cushions, I'd have to scoot forward a little bit to sit in my chair, and those gel cushions just kind of scoot out the back, and I was just sitting right on that foam base, and it was painful. I guess that's the other thing I should mention. I have sensation, so for me, I can feel pain if I'm sitting down on something that's not comfortable. So having a cushion that has cushion and it's not putting a lot of pressure, that's important too. It's also good because then I know to move around, right? So I don't get too much pressure on one part of my body or another. Another type of cushion I tried was a Supercore Stimulate. I actually recently got one again years later to try it and still don't really like it. It's that honeycomb one, and you know, when I sit on it, I still, after a while, I feel discomfort and pain, and so I just opted to switch back to what I know, which is ROHO. So speaking about ROHO, ROHO is predominantly known for their air cells, right? These little cells that kind of, when you sit on it, it creates this, you know, layer of air between your bottom of your butt and you know, where the surface you're sitting on. So with that, you know, I love the air cell technology. The only thing is that after a while they do break down, so you have to patch them and fix it. So you got to be able to do maintenance. But speaking about ROHO, they have a bunch of different kinds, and the kind that I liked the most was a cushion that was kind of a hybrid. It had a foam base in the front, and then it had the air cells in the back. And one of the popular cushions, which they unfortunately discontinued, was called a Nexus Spirit. And so with the Nexus Spirit, you've got that, you know, the air cell chambers in the back, and then you got this front part here, which has the little kind of dippity doodah, which helps with your legs, the troughs, I think they're called. But I love this cushion because I would, you know, lean on the front of this, put my pressure, and then pop over, and you know, these air cells would just give me a nice little feeling of comfort. You know, I didn't feel any pain in my butt, which was huge for me, because when I feel that pain, it gives me a sense of anxiety, which I don't like. So. But unfortunately, I got a different chair that's longer, and so the other cushions that I had, the Nexus Spirits, they were a little too short, and they were worn out. They were getting kind of nasty, so I tossed those. This happens to be a longer one. I still have it. I kept the bladders so I could rotate them out, but you know, it's not as nice as this ROHO that I'm going to show you. This is still a good backup, but I'm going to show you how cool the Hybrid Select is. So give me a sec here and I'll open it and we'll unbox it together. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and unbox this cushion. So again, this is the ROHO Hybrid Select cushion. Typically in these boxes, you're gonna get a pump, right? So you can pump up the air cells. And get the cushion itself. So it's got this cushion cover where it's got a little handle in the front. I'll kind of talk about this cushion in a sec, but let me just take all the contents out. It comes with this really big manual, which probably comes in different languages. I don't know how much information is in there. that you're going to need to know, but there are some different features of the cushion that are important. Comes a little product warranty, which is important. Just understand, I think it's 3 years, but it's always good if you need to fill something out, do that, because they're not cheap, and you want to make sure that you can get them fixed if there's a problem. Then it also comes with this patch kit, which is essential. At some point, if you've ever had a ROHO cushion, at some point they're going to have a leak or a pop in it. I've had to deal with it all the time. I mean, not right away, but over time you have to. And this is a lifesaver because you want to get this back up and running. When it's deflated, you're going to be closer to that seat base. And if you're like me, where you can feel, you're going to feel that very quickly. So you want to be able to have it up and running. Okay, so let's just kind of look at this cushion. Let me move this over here. All right. So the first thing you might notice about it is, which I love, are these little wings in the back, right? This is going to come up high and really help with your pelvic, the way you're sitting. And it's got, and I'll open it up and show you, but it's got air cells all the way up here to high, which is cool. You also got this trough right here for your legs. That's kind of fun when you're sitting there. If you're one of those where your legs like to go out, this kind of helps stabilize them because these come up a little bit higher. The valve that's right here, they now make them where they're kind of plastic, which is easier to attach this guy on and be able to pump it up. That's a huge deal because they used to be metal before. Now this part in the front, which is worth reading the manual about, this is what's going to control the airflow. So I don't know if it's red or green. I have to look at it, but because it's already on green, my assumption is that you can go ahead and start putting air in here, and it's just going to fill everything at the same time. Now, when you push it over to, or actually when you close the red side, what I believe happens is it kind of traps it, and there's 3 separate quadrants. So let's just say you wanted to have more air on one side of the cushion versus the other because you sit a little bit crooked. I believe with this cushion, you can push down while you have it in green mode, hold it down, slide it over, or if you're sitting on it, you can kind of do that, right? Like you could adjust by sitting and then slide this, and it'll trap the air. So that way you have more air on one side or the other to help with your positioning. So it's got some features like that that are really cool. But let me go ahead and unzip this and open up so you can kind of see what it looks like. You can get a feel for what the Hybrid Select offers. All right, so you've got, again, the foam base in the front. If I were to pull down, you can't really see, but got this foam base down here in the front, and then you've got all these air cells back here, which is just awesome. It's so contoured, and it just feels good sitting it. You just feel like you're locked in, whereas other cushions are just more flat. And, depending on if you have ergo in your seat or if you just have a bucket, it can kind of throw you off a little bit. But this little piece here is for offloading. I've never removed it. This is actually my second one of these cushions. Like I got one 5 years ago, and so I'm excited to get a new one. But if you're having too much pressure kind of in that area right in the center, you can take this little piece out, and it just helps distribute the pressure outward. So I've never had to do that, but I think for some it could be helpful, but it's kind of a cool feature that they have. But yeah, this is basically the cushion. I will probably do another video and show you, in my chair how it's working and how I can adjust the air. But I'm excited to get in this because it's been, I had this other cushion that I have. These have been failing on me, and I needed to get something new because I don't mess around with pressure sores. I've had one, and so you shouldn't either. It might be a little bit of an expense to you to get a new cushion, but it's worth it. You definitely want to do that. So. Yeah, so hopefully this is helpful. I'll let you know what I think about this, but I mean, I've already been sitting in it and I like it, but now that it's new, I can kind of give you some more feedback, and I'm a little bit more educated on how it works. But I'm super excited to get in it and just start going around because this was bothering me, and I was just so focused on, the fact that I was uncomfortable and not sitting on a cushion that works. So this is great. But yeah, if you have any questions, please leave them below. Comments, let me know what kind of cushion you use, what you like. If you've had something like this, you know, remedies for how to maintain these bladder cells a little bit better, anything to do with ROHO or other cushions that you might like. But if you haven't already, please like, subscribe. We're going to be putting out more content. Really enjoy you coming back to join us, and hopefully this was helpful regarding you know, cushion for your wheelchair. All right, thanks, take care, and keep working hard towards your independence. We'll see you soon.